what we wanted to do tonight and do it in a very informal fashion, as Michael mentioned, in a very human level, in a very informal level. So again, I want to thank each and every one of you. The idea is for you to have a chance to talk. I didn't want to take a lot of time. I would rather be listening to you because I learn from listening rather than talking. So at this point, I think I would like to open it up for individual comments, and then maybe, Mike, if you want to ask individuals and maybe
Brother Gary? Oh. Right on
this question is, who's going to moderate? So I guess that's all going to be. So I will try my best to not ignore anybody, but we're going to keep it down to a minimum so I can get you guys out of here and go home. But I also want you to be heard. So I want to be sensitive. All right, so Gary?
Hello, everyone. I'm Gary Daniel. So on Thursday, the students who protested, we gave our list of demands to the president's office, the provost's office, as well as associated students. How long do you plan on waiting to meet these demands?
we're going to have a response by early next week.
Okay.
Maybe this week, before we go on Thanksgiving.
Now, are you going to seriously implement these demands?
We're looking at each and every one of them very seriously, and I've already had a conversation with Associated Students President also, because that set of demands was addressed to me, the provost, and Associated Students.
Are you aware of any of the demands on the top of your head? Because I can gladly tell you what they are.
I remember a few of them. I'll try to remember them. One of them was about the African American Studies program. One of them was about the Success program. A few of them was about having more communication. So roughly there were about 6 or 7 items.
So there are exactly 5. The first one, we have a third of the African American Studies Department, which touches every aspect of campus. It should be self-explanatory as to why that's needed to educate the campus. Second one would be to have an African American Student Success Center where African Americans will have a physical place to go if any help will feel threatened. Third, community enhancement floors for African American optional African Americans, floor with RAs, programming directly related to these issues. Also Latino floor, Asian floor, and as well as LGBT. Third one, we need to implement these zero tolerance policies.
Zero tolerance policy, that's one of the items that we've already begun looking at all of them. Because if we look at the statement that was issued on Friday, talked about reviewing all of our policies and procedures. And zero tolerance policy falls under that item.
Okay, well at this point you verbally heard demands. Seriously hope you keep that in mind, and we'll see you next week.
Thank you.
Not Brother Gary.
I have a question over here.
Huh?
Whose demands are? Black Student Nation Campus, Black Student Union, Black Pharmaceutical Engineers, Black Campus Ministries, and the Black Youth Fraternity.
So all these organizations.
Yes, we did. And Solidarity, which is a coalition, which is more than just American students. Pretty much Solidarity would like to speak and tell you what that means.
Okay.
We definitely worked on these.
So do you feel like creating all of these separate entities specifically for African American students is consistent with equality or moving towards a place where everyone?
So are you against the African American students having places on campus?
I think African Americans have to respond. Counseling services.
Here's an opportunity.
Oh.
This is an internal debate with the community and not with this forum. I'm not discounting what I'm saying. I'm just saying for the time that we have to allow you guys to go at it.
I have a question for the president. So the concerns that have been brought to you, I want to basically say that I don't think everyone's in agreement with some of these demands. I'm not sure if they've really been thought out as well as they should have. And I would like for you to consider that in your actions.
Wow.
Items that we have as we have more communication as we talk more, and that's why as we have more discussions, we look at other items that come in, we would like to look at it and study it and try to see what can be done. Yes, ma'am.
Oh, you that dude, huh?
Everyone here, is there anything, like any demands that you guys specifically have, those are like under question? Anybody else have
Was he
anything
just
that
that
they would
dude?
like to see?
Was he that dude? That one that's like, I'm gonna pick up the legs out.
I want to know about like the delay of response. Like, why did it take so long for the school to respond? I'm just curious to know because if the event happened in August and it's about to be Thanksgiving, why was it prolonged? What was the delay? Is there anything that we need to know that we can do? You know, just to touch bases with you. Oh, by the way, my name is Sade Ogunbamu.
Hi, Sade.
The project very important, very pivotal element. I've asked the student affairs at the university to look at all of the different events, who know when, at what time, what happened, and as in my communique of Friday talked about that we'll try to have a report on what we know by December 15th, so we can share that one. But what you're bringing is a very valid issue to see what and I've asked student affairs to put the whole chronology of events together from the time that students have come to the campus in late August till basically.
So just to clarify,
yes.
you're not too sure what the delay was for the response.
At this point, we do not know specifically who knew what at what point, what had happened, why. I think that's a very valid question to see why we have planted that.
Okay, thank you.
Kenyatta, and then Cassie.
My name is Kenyatta Yarn to everyone.
Hi,
My question was, you said in a sense of you guys get together and decide when things happen, but when did you yourself find out about the incidents that just happened to be here?
Talking about the incidents on Wednesday evening. That was the time that I heard about the incidents and what was all of the incidents and what was going on.
So Wednesday was the very first time you heard about the boy being
Wednesday
terminated?
evening was the first time that I heard about this, an event of this horrible nature has happened.
Money.
That's right.
Money.
Hi, I'm Champagne Ellison. My question is, why did it have to take the students to surrender themselves or to turn themselves in order for an investigation to actually continue? Why couldn't it have been, not to say that they are, they need to have been slapped on the wrist and said, boom, that day, but why does it have to take, one student already turned themselves in, so why are we waiting for the others to turn themselves in as opposed to already handling the investigation, already progressing the investigation?
When the investigation becomes part of the police work, that's not basically police work. Basically, I have no jurisdiction over it. They handle it as a criminal matter, and they work directly with the district attorney's office. Basically, it's no longer in the purview of the university, it's in the purview of the law enforcement.
My question actually isn't for the president, it's for the administration and specifically for housing, since all of you will be here. I would like to know why specifically the RAs or the ROCs haven't said anything to the current residents of housing about this situation. It's as if housing is acting like this situation never happened. I don't see any posters. I don't see any protocols. I don't see any rules. I don't see any bewares. I don't see any of that. We learned about this through the media. We didn't learn from the university. We didn't learn from housing. We learned through the media. So I want to know who dropped the ball.
Get it. Get it. Wait. What it look like?
And obviously this is bigger than...
Can you speak up, please? I'm sorry.
Sure. My name is Victor Collada. I'm the Director of University Housing Services. And, I can publicly say that this is something that all of our staff and me personally is just unacceptable, horrible, hurtful, hateful behavior that will not be tolerated in university housing services. And I know that there are a lot of people who are very upset, very angry, very hurt. And a lot of those people include us as members of this university community. This is something that is just horrible for anyone to have to experience at any level. And this deeply saddens me and all of the staff who have experienced this. And I'm really, in particular, saddened too for how some of the staff who are really working in that building are feeling right now. A lot of the details, I know it's really frustrating when you have a lot of answers and a lot of the details are not specific and exactly communicated. And I know that perception and maybe the reality of how swift and how much has gone on behind the scenes isn't yet made public, but I know that a larger report is being compiled where a lot of those questions will be answered in detail. There is an ongoing police investigation, and more has been found out since the initial incident was reported to us. I can assure you that there has been a team of people who have been committed full time since this has been brought to our attention in resolving this in a very respectful way, one that protects the rights of not only the victim, but also of all the people involved. Again, I apologize for this happening. This is absolutely horrible. As you know, students who live in university housing, who have lived in housing for a couple of years, the number of programs that we do to promote sensitivity, to promote diversity, to promote all of these wonderful things that really defines who we are. And we will not tolerate any of this behavior.
So let me tell you what's going on in the room right now. We got a number of people in the room right now that's feeling extremely disrespected.
Okay.
Hear me very closely.
Okay.
I'm trying to avoid a situation that's about to happen.
Tell him, Mike.
I need you to answer the question.
Okay.
I'll be clear. I'm going to educate everybody right here. This is a community meeting featuring the African American community. Let me tell you a little bit about our community. If we smell disrespect in any way, shape, or form, this is going to turn into another kind of meeting. Okay? So I'm trying to help you out here.
Okay, thank you.
I'm trying to calm you down. So here's what we need you to do.
Okay.
We need you to answer the question, why did it take so long for people to hear about this, and why did people have to hear it on the news? Because, as an example, I work in 10th Street Garage. In the elevator right now is a flyer of a black male and I'm sure there are other places. So here's what the black community is not confused about. When we park the wrong way, y'all put posters all over campus describing this now. Here's what the question is. The question is simple. The question is simple. And whatever the answer is, the answer is. I'm not trying to tell you what the answer should be. But whatever the answer is, we need to know, why did they have to hear it? I understand why I had to hear it that way. I live in Modesto. But if I'm living in the dorm, why do people not fundamentally understand, or they have to hear that there's an unsafe situation going on? And you got RAs and all these programs just listed and blah, blah, blah. We need to answer that. Go. Just whatever it is and what it is. Just go. Now.
When we became aware of the situation, we became aware of the situation, we reported it to the University Police Department. Housing staff contacted the University Police Department. And we do not publicly share when people have been judicially charged the details publicly. And so that's why I didn't create a poster or announce that publicly.
I'm sorry.
The answer.
So you guys hear about it. I'll paraphrase. You guys hear about it. It gets reported to the police. Okay? Now, once that happens, the question is, what are you trying to say about once that happens? Are you trying to say you do or you don't have to, like, the question is still...
Why we didn't know about it?
Yeah, restate the question.
From Wednesday, and that's what everybody found out, till now, why have there been no posters from housing about this behavior being unacceptable and there are consequences for this behavior? Today, there is still none of that. I haven't heard anything from the ROC, haven't heard anything from the RA, haven't heard anything from anybody on the second floor. Hell, at least the president sent an email.
I'm touched.
Now I've got it.
I'm touched.
All right, let's go.
And I failed to do that. And I will draft something in response to that. And I apologize for being too late. And that's on me as Director of Housing. I apologize that I did not.
Now it's better than never.
No, I could have been doing that. We didn't hear anything. We didn't hear that. Thank you for that.
Yeah, the buffer, you may not have to disclose any personal information because I know that you guys are not allowed or that's not in your jurisdiction, but from here forward, can we at least, people who are living in housing, because I specifically live in CDB, so that was just a shock to me, like, why is that, something that is, happening? You're not knowing any type of anything as far as, like, this is not allowed, you guys need to know. You guys should have at least put something on. So from here forward, that's something that will be implemented in, our handbooks that we're given or things that we're supposed to be reading before we move into housing. Will that be, in bold?
Thank you, Ashley.
I just have a quick question. So are you guys through with him or we still got a few more? I got a person. Yeah? Okay. All right, yours related to him? No. Okay, then listen. Go. And then him. Go.
Hi, my name is Johnny Gay. I'm one of the Latino representatives, and I actually live in CBB. My question is, why? I know a lot of us that live on campus, we know that we're just randomly selected and put in a room. Why aren't all the students diversified? Why was 7 white kids and 1 black person put in a room? Why wasn't there Latino? Why wasn't there Asian? Why wasn't there any other kind of race inside of that suite other than 1 black kid? And when there was reports of the Confederate flag hanging, why wasn't the RAs going to check and see who's in that room, who's in that suite? If they knew that there was only 1 black kid, why didn't they confront that kid and see if he's comfortable living where his suite mates are putting Confederate flags and Nazi signs in his suite, so it can be presented. So this was kind of presented to us, not from you, but from the actual criminals.
So the question is, how come there doesn't seem to be more of an effort to make sure that the suites are diversified than what it seemed like in that particular case? Is that fair?
Okay. That is because we.
No, you first. Answer her question, then we'll get to you.
Okay. So.
And I'm still conscious of you.
Go.
So the reason is that our room assignments are based random, and what we do is right. So they're just random, except for a couple of things. Okay, and those things are gender, specifically, in places where you cannot have a co-ed situation. But otherwise, they're random. We don't place people by race. That race isn't, or the only thing that we do, though, is that if people want to live together, they can expressly request to live together as roommates, and we do place them that way. But we don't specifically do room assignments based upon anything other than gender.
As a diverse campus, as we claim there should be. I live with an Indian, a Latino, and 2 Japanese and 1 white female, and I can tell you that I learned a lot from living with them. So what I'm telling you, I
buying sweets? Because that would be really important to keep uplifting it. Because I'm pretty sure this wouldn't have gone as far as it was if there was a Latino or an Asian or some other ethnicity inside that sweet with that young black man.
There's two people behind you also. So what is this guy? The dude with the whatever. It's Owen Miller who's on the oil for the He is so hating, He is like his face is in pain. He's not rich and movement, he's in a similar. He is irritated.
Regarding this incident, here's the thing, what I would say in the email for you, anyone doing any kind of this behavior will be expelled immediately, regardless of the circumstances.
Thank you, brother.
I'll give you an example of an email. My father used to work for HP, and on 9/11 day, he got an email from his manager saying anyone making fun of Muslim people will be fired immediately because they know, the company knew, that they're going to that their employees will target people like me, people that look Middle Eastern, because they were the ones, or presumably one of the ones, they were the ones that caused the attacks, so they would know that they were going to be attacked later on, and so they're trying to do this just to prevent hatred for the company or in the office or whatever. So just do something like that, okay? But I don't know who else is doing this. Who else is going to do it? But if it's going to be you, if it's going to be the president or whoever, just do it, just so that way we can get a notification right away. And who said earlier that this will be embedded in our heads? You said that? Okay, then make sure you send that email. Word it away.
I love him.
So that way we can get some more understanding of this incident and just to prevent anything like this from happening again. It just comes to show, I understand we're all angry about this, okay? And we're trying to quell everything down, but still, this would be a good notification or a good reminder or understanding about this incident, okay?
Not a black issue.
My name's Ernest. My question is... I got you. Hi, I'm Ernest. I'm the president of Cap Alpha Star Fraternity Incorporated, Nelson Road Chapter. And my question to you is, the district attorney filed charges Wednesday evening, which means they knew about this a long time ago to actually bring this up to file these charges. Why did it take from Wednesday evening till about Saturday night to get an email to even put this together? Before you answer that question, the article broke Wednesday night. We read it about 8:30 within Black Student Union. By 9:30, we had already organized and came up with our demonstration, how we went to respond to what took the university so long.
Talk that talk.
I'll answer that because I sent the email. So, I'm letting all you guys know stuff. We all operate and do multiple things all the time. Okay? So, I'm going to be honest with you. When I became aware of this, which was like Thursday or Friday, I got an email probably Saturday morning, and then we got it done within hours. So I said all that to say, all y'all glad. Anything I'm affiliated with, the answer to the question, why did it happen, is when Michael got around to it. Any questions? Now, anything you see with my name, the answer to the question is this when Michael got around to it. So I got around to it as soon as I found out about it, and we did it in less than 24 hours. Okay.
Thank you. Hi, my name is Daniel Harris Lucas. Senior
Louder.
in May. My question is this only question. What is the university going to do immediately to better move us forward? Because this conversation right now is great, but in all reality, there aren't a lot of other races and other cultures in this room at this exact point, so I really don't understand what's the purpose of this forum without having the whole entire school here. Because this is not just a group, this is a whole campus-wide campus. We're all affected. Not just the African Americans, not just the Latinos, the whites, and everything, because we have seriously racial tension. And I know nobody wants this to be American History X, but if you don't do this strategically and do this properly, we can quickly get to that point. I know you don't want that, and I know none of these students in here want to be a part of that because that's not where we are in 2013. But I want to know personally, what is the school going to do immediately and within the next semester to the next couple of years to actually benefit and grow enrichment between racial groups on this campus? Because right now I don't see it.
I think you brought a number of very good points. Let me bring about a few of the things that we've already started. The Vice President for Student Affairs and I've already talked about. One of the issues was how we can bring some emergency, immediate training programs for the RAs. How can we really do that? How can we look at the questions earlier about the room assignments? How can really some of that could really be changed? We've already talked about putting a report together by the December 15th, so provide as much information that we have. We're looking at having a number of seminars and lecture series. By the next semester, we're looking at putting some groups together to look at some of what has really happened in our processes and our policies, what training that needs to happen, how do we need to change our orientation programs so we can really bring the whole campus together. Unfortunately, it took such a horrible incident for us to look at those procedures, but sometimes what we need to do is to see how we can learn from that one. So I think the idea for this meeting was a very informal way, so at least we can hear from students. Everybody's heard. It's going to take a long time for that, so we can hear people, but also part of what you're going to hear starting, as we did a little bit on Friday, in the next few weeks, some of the actions that people will take exactly along the line of what we have to do.
How many students actually would go to a seminar or a lecture?
No. We have enough classes.
We need the classes that were cut back, all of them, not new.
Oh!
Would you rather have it on podcasts and other ways?
No.
I think that you can personally integrate diversity into the curriculum we already have. We're already in enough classes, so if the teachers can take some time out of their lecture to talk about diversity before they put us in a group with different people, that probably will help. And that's probably the easiest way because we already have to work in groups. Second, I just want to know personally, can we have some mandatory floor meetings with the RAs and do a debrief of this situation? Before I go into finals and before we move on to the next semester, I want to know that I'm safe living on campus.
Well.
So that's why I'm safe. I want the RAs and whatever housing is doing, just please take that step to have a floor meeting and digest this situation and let your students ask you these questions and debrief, because this is going to be a mental health in a couple minutes. We have counselors, we already have the resources, let's put them to work right now and stop. We don't want a lecture series, we already go to lectures. So,
well.
Hello everyone, my name is Michael. My question to the president would be in regards to the African American task force, like our retention rate. That wasn't as heavily publicized, nor was it, nor did we have a march on it, and we didn't get a response from it. My question would be, why is it that when we have a hate crime and we go to the media, that you come out of wherever you live and you talk to us? I want to know, like, this has to seem like it's more of a publicized event rather than you really care, because I really don't feel like you care about us enough.
Wow, that was a Kanye moment right there.
First of all, in terms of the retention graduation rates of African Americans, those of you who were, or those individuals who were even there during my interview, that was one of the concerns and issues that I raised about the university. This is something that I've looked at even way before even put on the campus. The whole idea of reorganizing and setting up the task force, asking both the provost and the vice president for student affairs to look at the whole aspect of retention and seeing how we can really look at both academic support as well as advisement support so students will be successful. The issue that you brought up is a very important issue. It's something that I was aware of. That's why we've already taken a number of steps. And we need to do a lot more. But also recognizing that, retention and graduation and how it really moves. It's not something that happens immediately. It takes a long time. The whole aspect and the concern about the low retention and graduation is not something that started the last 2 years or 3. I've been part of the CSU when I first came about 27 years ago. I've heard that issue, and it has been a long-term issue, and I think what all of us need to do is to see look at some of the gains that we've done. I'll give you one example of it. If you look at from last year to this year, the first and freshman retention rate of African Americans has increased about 13%.
Wait.
Now that was one good forward step that you've taken.
What is it?
And is that enough? Absolutely not. But all I want to show is that yes, we have started that trajectory and moving forward and recognizing, as I said, that retention graduation is a long-term process. It's not something that you can change it over 6 months, a year, or 2 or 3. But what I'm really pleased is that the trajectory is changing. Okay.
Louder! Sorry. My apologies, I'm a little sick. My name is Earl, and I'm part of the In Solidarity group here on campus. And my question to you, we're speaking about diversity. And as a teaching moment, I was wondering what your definition of diversity is.
Get that right. Oh.
My definition of diversity is how we all value each other as human beings. We really understand the role that each one of us has, that the commonalities that we have is far stronger than the differences that we see. Whether it's our race, whether it's ethnicity, whether it's our country of origin, whether it's our religion, whether it's sexual orientation, or any other element. To me, what we have in common is the most important element, and that basically is what, to me, the celebration of diversity, recognizing and valuing each and every one as another human being, as another person, as another member of our community. To me, that's what diversity means.
Thank you. I want you to say thank you to all the staff and administrators I see present tonight on their last night off before the holiday starts. But I also want to point to our housing staff, not only you, but others who work with you. Since the late 1980s, Professor was at UC Berkeley came out with a book talking about African American young men as an endangered species. She carefully documented that book, and it should be required reading for anybody in housing in the higher ed area, because she just lays it out. They're often targeted for whatever reason. People just lay out their anxiety, their dominance, their problems, and target these young men. So given that is the case, that's normative experience, unfortunately, it's going to happen. So somehow it seems to me that needs to be embedded in the orientation of people in housing, and also in the orientation of students, that we have to be a part of a protective community. That young man should not have been holding this inside of himself. He should have felt like he could go to somebody immediately who was going to tell somebody else, who was going to tell somebody else, and come together and embrace him like he was a part of our community. We're a community, doggone. We're supposed to help each other, reach out to each other. And he felt isolated, and he's endangered, like the rest of these young black men. I just want to add that. I will send it to you by email, so you don't have to memorize it. I will do that. She does workshops, too. She's working for you. And she raised 2 young black men.
Okay, my question is, I don't know if I should need to. I'm not going to stand up for you. All right. Hello. So my question is, I don't know if I should either direct this to you or to Victor Culata, but I just wanted to know, since there were more than what, the 3 or the 4 roommates that were in that apartment at that time? Because I thought, from my understanding, they lived in the suites, correct?
Yes.
Which means it was a 4-bedroom, 2 people per room situation. Which means that there was 7 other people in the room while this stuff was going on. Only 4 have been charged. My question is, what happened to the other 3 who were witnessing all this stuff at the time? Because sometimes, I mean, well, not sometimes, most of the time, we get in trouble for not snitching, if you will. So when they were in the room at that time, what happens to those? Because I thought that in the booklet it says that if you don't report something that happens on campus or that happens in the dormitory, you then are also responsible for whatever consequences happen. So my question is, what happened to the other 3 who were also in that room at that time, or the other students who were in that room at the time? Does anything happen to them, or do they just get off scot-free because they moved out now? What happened? I
know that's one of the issues that, among others, that Regis Hall is looking at.
Because of FERPA and other rules, unfortunately, this is not what you want to hear. But I have to be honest with you. But it's not what you want to hear. And certain regulations that I have to follow, I can't say what's going to happen to the other ones, but it is public now. What happened, the other people who have been charged, that is public, because that's a part of public record. But what we do internally with regard to students through our own judicial process, I cannot share that publicly because of FERPA. And that's just something that's honest.
I think maybe if I ask, okay, so would there be, it's like hypothetically, right, would there be anything that was to happen to them? Because according to the booklet that we're all supposed to abide by, it says that if you don't report any of this, maybe, of course, the victim didn't report it, neither did the other 4 that were doing it, who's been charged, but now neither did the other 3 who were in the apartment. So if they didn't come forward, hypothetically, what would be the protocol? What would be the steps to deal with that?
Hypotheticals are really hard.
Here, let me tell you the
Good Lord.
Here's what she just said. I'm reinterpreting. She said, I read in your manual that if you witness a crime or an incident, you are culpable, you need to come forward. If you don't come forward, you become part of it. Her question is simple. 1, is that true or not true? And 2, if it's not true, let everybody know, so don't pay attention to that part of the book. The other piece is, does there exist a protocol and a penalty such that if a person does violate that portion of the book, there's an action that they take? Is that a fair characterization? So that's your question.
Okay. So, there are situations where people, if they are a part of
Here, let me break it down.
a violation,
if somebody
if they're
strangling somebody in the dorm,
what's that?
if I'm watching somebody strangle somebody in the dorm, do I have an obligation to report that? Yes or no? Or can I just keep
we
on
can't
walking?
water it down so much and say, okay, they were in the room when the swastikas were hanging up on the wall, or they were in the room when the Confederate flags were hanging on the wall. That, in turn, is a violation of the book, because you're not going to have that in common area. So that is a violation. Because they didn't report that.
I can assure you that there is a lot of attention on everything, everyone in this room. Everything is being handled and addressed, according to our policies, okay? And that people are going to be held accountable for any violations that occur.
We don't want responses. We want answers. Be respectful. You didn't answer the question. You responded.
I can't give you a specific.
Yes, you can. Yes, you can. You won't.
Wait, here we go. We got the vice president back there.
What I don't know to your question, what I don't know to your, just first part of your question, are you asking a housing policy or are you asking you a broader university student conduct policy?
Surprise us.
But it goes on both ends because, you know, I guess you could say in the street, if you will. If I didn't, snitch and say, oh, well, she did it, I do get in trouble as well. So then that turns into this situation. And it's also documented in the book that if you don't snitch, you then are held accountable.
Yeah, so that's what and I'd be surprised if anybody can't hear me. It would be the first time in my life. So I think you're saying in the housing policy specifically, if you see or observe something as a housing resident in the housing buildings or facilities, what are the obligations that are there, which is different from if you're walking down a corridor or you're in a classroom building, what are your obligations as a student in the campus community as a whole? Am I clarifying that question correct?
Yes and no, but continue.
I don't know. I don't.
Only because they were in that room.
Correct.
So their eyes were in that room when they saw the stuff on the wall. So that's what I'm saying. They were in that house. Not saying they were walking down and saw it outside, but they were in the room when all this happened. So that's why I was asking what happened to the others.
Let me translate for you. Okay.
English to
She's asking a housing policy question for you to answer. So now answer the housing policy question. I'm aware. I'm just saying I'm clarifying. Yes, she's asking a housing policy question.
Let me step back from the non-housing broader policy. People do not have an obligation to be required to report something in the campus at large. Student conduct would not require anybody, if you see something, you must and would be held accountable if you do not.
Now, back to housing. Back to housing. Does housing policy require that if you witness something that you have an obligation to report it? Yes or no?
Not everything. Not everything that you witness are you required to report. However, there are circumstances, there are a number of things that if you are a part of, if you are all underage and you are all together drinking, that might be one of the things that you're thinking
I got a couple more people that I got to meet. Then I'm going to make a recommendation.
Right. Leave early.
Somebody asked about a debrief early on. Are you committed to the debrief that was mentioned earlier, where you're going to work in your dorm and people have an opportunity to talk to you?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay, then what I would recommend is that issue get addressed very clearly in that meeting.
Sure. I'd be happy to do that.
No, clearly.
Yeah.
Can I then address that and append to that as well? There was an earlier discussion along these lines that talked about housing versus other areas. I don't remember exactly which the question was. As an institution in the broader campus, those practices, those kinds of decisions, those kinds of in the moment. Oh, it was the question about why wasn't a message sent out immediately? What was the timing delay on that? That's the broader question, not just a housing question itself. Clearly an institutional campus decision, or not campus concern out of my office, out of the president's office, out of everybody else's office. Those are exactly the questions and the practices that we are asking ourselves right now. Why did not we do this? Why did we not do this when it happened at various points in time all the way along? So I'm adding into that email the email you were asking him to send is an email that's broader than just a housing email that needs to go as well.
Okay, so here we got this gentleman next, Adam. You're after him.
Okay.
And then I got you.
Hello, I'm Tierney.
Hi, Tierney.
So first, I just have a statement right now. I don't know if anybody else in this room feels like this, but I feel like I'm being BS'd. I I will say one thing I do appreciate on the student side of us being respectful and letting them speak. Like I said at the rally, I'm not going to perpetuate that stereotype that we have against us that doesn't allow us to be civilized and talk to people. I did the same thing for Bill Nance on Thursday, and I will do the same thing here tonight if I have to. So I just wanted to get that out here. But again, I do thank all of you for being respectful in that sense. My question is, though, and this is the housing unto the president, why are we such a reactionary campus to where we don't think that we need to take, I guess, progression in order to do it? We claim to be one of the most diverse university on campus. I'm one of the black faces that you'll see on the AS school website. I don't know if you'll see any more, but this year I'm that one. And why is it so much of that? We have to have this hate crime happen, and this isn't even the first time a hate crime has happened on this campus. If I go back to 2008, before I got here, there was a young man that was also hung in the basement of one of the white fraternities in here that I will not name at the moment because we all do know that. So again, why are we such a reactionary campus to where now all of a sudden we're thinking of, oh, what diversity programs can we put on? Oh, can we include African American studies in other areas? Because I don't understand why they're just in F1, F2, and F3, but they could definitely be in D1, D2, and D3 because they get everything that Asian American studies and Chicano studies and women's studies and all those do, and they're all included in D1, D2, and D3. As well as where's I don't know if I missed it, but where so much is just the sorry as a whole from the campus to the boy? I haven't seen that. I haven't seen the sorry to the victim yet. I haven't seen I apologize for individuals effing up your first semester in college, which was supposed to be one of the best things that happened to me because I remember my freshman year. I can honestly tell you almost every day-to-day thing that I did my freshman year in college, which is going on 5 years ago because I'm graduating senior. So why is it that we are so reactionary? And this isn't so much as just the administration, because I said this on Thursday, that us as the black community on this campus, we do the same thing. And I'm never one to look at somebody else's fault and I look at mine as well. But on the campus side, since you do run this campus and you hold the power on this campus, because we definitely don't, because if it was up to us, I think a lot of our classes wouldn't be cut, nor do I think we'd be putting a $96 million student union that should have broken ground last year. So why is it that now all of a sudden we are so in a rush to do all these programs and all these classes and get all this stuff done? We go hold press conferences, and now we have to do this damage control because that's essentially what it is, because that's why I would assume that you're here, because I've had plenty of rallies and meetings that you've been invited to, and I've never seen you at one. I've seen you at Mansfield, but I've seen you there. I've seen you there. So, this question is to both you and housing. Why is it now that diversity is the issue? Because when we first come here, everything is about drugs and alcohol. Most of the time, we don't do drugs and alcohol. And most of the time, I am the only black person in one of my poli-sci classes. Most of the time, I am the only black person in one of my music classes. Most of the time, I'm one of the only black students in my college.
Well,
I don't see a lot of black students. I don't even have a black professor in the political science. So why is it now, after this has come out, and San Jose State is a worldwide thing, because I say worldwide because my aunt is just in Paris and she found out about it too. So now I'm going to say it's worldwide. Why is it now that all of a sudden the most diverse CSU, and these are SJSU's words, not mine, has to come up with this plan all of a sudden, which a plan should have been enacted a long time ago. We're 3%. Latinos are what? Throw me out. What is it? Latinos are what? What percent?
Like
15%. And what are Asian Americans?
Oh, like in the 40s.
32. So if we add all that up, what is that? Still less than 50, right?
Just about.
It's still a little less than 50. Okay, it's more than 50? Because it doesn't look like it's more than 50. He said Latinos are 23. I got it.
23%. Asian Americans are in the mid-30s. So
Asian Americans are in the mid-30s.
But me and mine. That's about 55.
So it's a little bit more than 50. Okay, so it's a little bit more than 50. Okay. All right. But the point still stands. Why is now, after this has happened, we have to come up with these programs and these new rules and this, when we definitely have a zero tolerance policy for harassment. Because I'm pretty sure if this was reversed, I'm not going to say if it was a black man, I'm going to say if it was a Latino man, if it was an Asian American man, if it was a Muslim man, if it was someone other than white European ancestry that did this, it would have been blown out of proportion, and we would know information. I believe your email would have been sent out a lot faster. I do. I believe your email would have been sent out a lot faster. I feel like damage control would have been done a lot faster if it wasn't a person of color. So why is it now all the reaction? Why is it now all the programs? Why is it now? And I'll sit down.
So I want to hear reactions. I got to get my little dig in. And it would have been a photograph. It would have been in the elevator. That's my personal dig. So anyway, go ahead.
Unfortunately, sometimes that horrible incidents take us to look back and look at many of our policies, practices, approaches. I think the horrible thing that happened to that students, regardless of who was responsible, any area of housing, any area of the university, at the end of the day, the responsibility lies on my shoulders. I'm responsible. We collectively failed that student. I failed that student. And I take that responsibility. Regardless of where I know it, when I know it, all of that takes it. Because at the end of the day, if I'm leading this institution, I'm responsible. So I feel bad for that student. I apologize for that student.
But the part about now we diversifying the campus, that's the most diverse CSU. I need you to elaborate on that. Could you touch that?
In terms of the diversity of the university is one of the elements that we have all had a sense of pride in. That's one of the elements that brought me back to San Jose State.
Is that the administration doesn't understand the diversity. Clearly, the students understand diversity, because if you look around this room, you just don't see black faces. So the students understand diversity. Okay? I don't think the administration understands diversity. I think it's something that they like to talk about, but not fully understand it. Because we can always talk about something, but if we don't understand it, we don't implement things to uplift that, or to have the campus as a whole understand it, then we fail.
If you could define what you mean diversity,
diversity is exactly what you just said. The campus does not do that.
It's his fault.
Show me a program that a student organization has not put on that is uplifting diversity. Show me an administration program or institution that uplifts diversity other than Mosaic and the Central Child Affairs Community Action Center. You don't see it. You see it student ran. It's student ran. It's student understood. It's not understood by the administration.
I think we need too much to do a better job. I think that we'll look at it, see what we can do. If you have more specific suggestions, I'll look at it very seriously.
So okay, with you saying that then, so will students be allowed at this talk about this diversity? Will students be allowed to talk, since it's evident to me that we're the only ones that understand it on this campus. So will we be allowed to have a voice?
Yes.
Okay, we got that on record. Yes. Now over there.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's directed for both. It's directed for both. It's directed for the president and for because housing does the same drug and alcohol counseling. So where's the diversity intake in that?
As far as diversity programs and opportunities that we provide in residence,
we've done a number of diversity programs and continue to do diversity programs on a regular basis. Is that what you wanted? Is that the question? I want to be respectful.
No, because I lived on campus for 2 years. I lived in Joe West, which was actually called Global Village, but there was ever no global anything about it other than the faces that you showered next to. Because we didn't have these programs that you speak of. And I lived in CVB my sophomore year, and this was the same exact thing. So I'm not seeing it. The rest of the student body, how many of you live on campus now? How many of you have experienced a diversity workshop or program in CVB?
Wait. Let me get that.
MIA.
Oh,
but they happen.
yeah. Okay.
They don't happen. I think they're alluded to happen. I think that there might be an actual document that gets written down and it might try to be some type of program, but I don't think it actually gets executed. Because I can't tell you one that I was been to. And I'm very active on campus. I'm in over 15 clubs, president of about 4, so I don't get it. I don't see anything. But I do see a lot of events about drug and alcohol abuse. I do. I see that a lot. And I do see a whole bunch of little safe sex things, which I believe are good. That's great. That's awesome. That's great. But I don't see a lot of other black roommates that I have. I don't see a lot of other Latino roommates that I have. I don't see a lot of other people except because all my roommates were white. I don't see that. I don't see the conversation happening about 2 people coming from 2 different places trying to understand one another. Because I feel like that falls on housing's hand. That's a housing issue. That's something housing has to take care of. Because you have people paying an arm and a leg to live in CVB, CVC, Joe West, or the Bridge.
I hear what you're saying, and I will send you a list of what we have done so far this year. And we are definitely taking a look at what more we could do. And we will commit to that. Okay, so I will share with you what we have done so far.
But like when you share with me, will you just be giving me titles of things, or will you be giving me some type of actual like statistics? Like I need quantitative information. Like I don't just need the title. I want to know like the number of students that actually attended this event, if that can happen, because I'm pretty sure you have to take a toll. Because when I have an event for my job, I have to write down how many people were there. So
exchange information, and I can get you the names that you want.
Okay,
if you'd like that.
And I'm going to tell you, after Deanna, we're going to do 2 more, and then we're going to shut it down. Deanna, go.
Hi, I'm Sasha.
Oh, wait, no.
Oh, Diana, sorry. I'll cut it short. I thought you heard the hand up.
No, she's been waiting.
We can share. Wow. All right, so my name is Diana Cremedy, and I wanted to, I love the fact that Earl asked about diversity, and I'm glad that you finally gave a definition for it, because I know you celebrate it and you embrace it, but you sure don't support it. There's this room right here is filled with a lot of people of color. This is not a black issue, it's not a brown issue. Where are the people that, the other half of the university that needs to hear about this? Why are they not here? We have African American Studies, which was on the verge of getting cut and pushed into the sociology department. Pushed there because there were 600 students there. There's 30,000 students at this university. My guess is that those 4 students that did this act were not about to go to sociology to take the African American Studies course that you were pushing in there. All right, so it's back out now. Thanks to Chancellor White and the Board of Trustees and the Council of Studies, there's a 2-year moratorium. Since you support diversity, what will you do to support ethnic studies? Because clearly it's needed on this campus. We put it a proposal out. We said that we need more funding. Where is the proposal? I know that Chancellor White put a 2-year moratorium, but what are you going to do to support ethnic studies?
First of all, we wait to see what will the Chancellor's Office report will be, what will be the direction that the Chancellor's Office is putting. The other part that I've said from the beginning that when I came to the campus is how we can look at many elements of ethnic studies as part of our general education program, so every student will have an opportunity to know about all of the different cultures and to be able to, because through education and understanding, that's how we can appreciate other cultures. That basically is something that I have believed in. Even if you go back to look at my interview when I was on campus, that was exactly the answer that I gave over 2.5 years ago.
All right, so the proposal that's on the provost desk right now about putting in the GE requirement, do you know what the proposal says? Because we're waiting for a response to it in regard to supporting African American studies as a department.
Supposed to be getting that. Supposed to be getting that before the end of next week.
No, that's something completely separate. Y'all waiting for this one. I'm still waiting on the word from the last proposal that we sent you. So y'all ain't gonna get yours till I get mine. That's what I'm assuming. So, we got backlog here.
I've not had any conversations with the provost on that proposal. When it gets to me, I'll look at it. But as I said, at this point, the chancellor's office has asked the moratorium on